As Kuma went hunting, he heard some noise coming from a particular part of the forest shrubs. He followed the direction of the sound and soon spotted a glowing antelope giving birth. The sight took his breath away, but his desperation overrode his wonder. So he readied his bow and arrow, took aim. As he was about to let go the arrow, the antelope gazed at him with pleading eyes. "Wait, human, please don't strike." Kuma suddenly froze. Did he just hear an animal speak to him? Kuma couldn't believe his ears. "I sense your struggles, human, but I offer you a different path. Spare our lives, and I will grant you a wish. Ask for anything and I will make it come to pass." "No," he said finally. His voice was very firm this time around. "I can't spare you. I need to feed my family." Kuma was once a renowned hunter. His skills with the spear, bow and arrows, and his knowledge of the forest had provided for his family and earned him respect among the villagers. However, times had changed, and Kuma's luck had run out. His hunts yielded nothing, and his family struggled to find their next meal. His wife, Afua, and their 3 children, often went begging in the village, a painful reminder of Kuma's failure. One fateful day, he heard some noise coming from a particular part of the forest shrubs. He followed the direction of the sound and soon spotted a glowing antelope giving birth. The sight took his breath away, but his desperation overrode his wonder. What kind of trickery is this animal playing on him? Trying to sway his mind from the goal of hunting. He has not had a successful hunt for several months now. So he readied his bow and arrow, took aim. As he was about to let go the arrow, the antelope gazed at him with pleading eyes. "Wait, human. Please don't strike," it said in a voice that echoed in the forest. Kuma suddenly froze. Lost in thought. Did he just hear an animal speak to him? Kuma couldn't believe his ears. He wanted to be sure he isn't insane. He asked the animal to repeat what it said. The antelope continued. "I am not an ordinary antelope. My kingdom is under threat, and my newborn fawn is the chosen one, destined to save our world from darkness." Kuma hesitated, his grip on the arrow loosening. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Our kingdom is under threat from extinction," the antelope explained. "My fawn's birth is a sign of hope, but if you kill us, our people will be doomed." Kuma's heart wrestled with his conscience. He had never believed in tales of magical creatures, but the antelope's words stirred something within him. Yet, his family's empty bellies and his own desperation tugged at him. "But I need to feed my family," he said, his voice cracking. "I can sell your hide and meat for a good price." The antelope's gaze filled with understanding. "I sense your struggles, human. But I offer you a different path. Spare our lives, and I will grant you a wish. Ask for anything and I will make it come to pass." Kuma's eyes narrowed, his mind racing with the weight of his decision. He had never been a person who believes in fairy tales and myths. But the antelope's words resonated deep within him. Yet, the pains of hunger in his belly and the thought of his family's empty plates won out. "No," he said finally, his voice was very firm this time around. "I can't spare you. I need to feed my family." The antelope's eyes filled with a deep sadness, but it nodded in understanding. It said in a low-toned female voice, trying hard to convince the hunter not to shoot at it. "If you kill me, your family's hunger will be temporary, but the fate of my kingdom will be sealed forever." Kuma said to himself, "How can I allow myself to be charmed by this trickery animal?" With a swift motion, Kuma launched his arrow, striking the antelope in the upper part of its leg. The antelope let out a soft cry as it fell, its fawn bleating in distress. Kuma approached, his heart heavy with the weight of his actions. But just as he reached for the antelope's body, a strange glow enveloped him, and he heard the antelope's soft voice once more. "Remember, human, your wish is still within reach. Not many men have the privilege of meeting a spirit antelope. This encounter is a sign, a chance for you to change your fate. Spare my life, and I swear that your wish will be granted. You will find prosperity and happiness beyond your wildest dreams." Kuma hesitated, his hand hovering over the antelope's body. He looked into its eyes, and for a moment, he saw something there that gave him pause. "Why should I believe you?" Kuma asked. The antelope replied, "You can have me only for a week's meal, but with a wish, you can have anything you want for the rest of your life." Kuma's mind raced with doubts and fears, but the antelope's words struck a chord deep within him. Something in Kuma's heart shifted. With a rush of hope, Kuma spoke his wish, "I want riches, enough to feed my family and make me prosperous for the rest of my life." As soon as his words ended, a sudden gust of wind swept through the forest, clearing and rustling leaves and sending chills down Kuma's spine. The antelope's eyes gleamed with a glowing light. "Your wish is granted, human," it said with a faint soft voice. "But remember, this is a divine favor, not a magical trick. You must come with me to a village where you shall train and earn your wish. You must keep our encounter a secret, or else you will lose your wish." The sudden wind that blew after he made his wish made him believe that he is indeed having an encounter with the supernatural. The antelope's gaze faded, its body trembling. I need your help, human. I am dying. If I perish, you will never know which village to seek out, and your wish will be lost forever." Kuma's heart raced as he realized the gravity of the situation. He quickly gathered herbs from the bush and tended to the antelope's wounds, nursing it. Over the next 3 days, Kuma comes to the forest to tend to the wounds of the immobile antelope and its fawn. As the antelope's strength returned, it spoke again, "Kuma, you must live with me now. The village of Nsuta awaits, where your wish will be fulfilled. But you must trust me and follow me without question." He returned to his village to inform his wife and family that he wants to go and seek greener pastures for some time since things are not going well for him in Kwahu village. But his family and friends cared less. They despised him and called him names. "You're a failure, Kuma," they said. "Leave us be. You can't even feed your family. You can go and die, we don't care. Your presence makes no difference to anyone here anyways." With a heavy heart, Kuma bid farewell to his loved ones, knowing that his journey would be long and arduous. Since he was traveling to another village, he wanted to at least have some money on him in case he needs something. For once in a long while, he went to his friend Kwame to ask him for some coins. Kwame was his close friend in those good times when he was a chief hunter. But now that he is a failure, Kwame has distanced himself from him. Kwame wasn't ready to entertain him when he asked for money, so he quickly looked into his pocket, grabbed a few coins and dropped it in his hands. He told Kuma he was very busy and hurriedly left. Kuma didn't even get the chance to say thank you. Kwame dashed into the forest where the antelope and its fawn slept. They started their journey leaving behind the only life he had ever known. After a few hours of walking, they arrived at the outskirts of Nsuta. He had never heard of the village of Nsuta. The village was nestled in a valley, surrounded by lush green hills and a serene river flowing through its heart. The antelope once again thanked Kuma for sparing its life and asked him to go into the village and look for a man called Nayamkai. He is the one going to grant Kuma the wish. He once again stated, "This is not a magical wish, your wish has already been granted. But you just need to follow his instructions and you will see your wish come to reality." The antelope and its fawn jumped into the bush and disappeared in the shrubs. Kuma's curiosity and wonder grew as he entered the village. An elderly man with a kind face and wise eyes approached him. "Greetings, young one. I am Nayamkai, the village elder. The antelope has spoken of your arrival." Kuma bowed respectfully. "I am Kuma, and I have come to take my wish." Nayamkai nodded. "Your wish is already granted. But first, you must prepare yourself for the next 2 months. You will work in our farm fields and learn the ways of our village. Come, let us begin." Kuma accepted the offer and started his new life in Suta village. Under Nayamkai's guidance, he learned about the village's ancient traditions, farming practices, and the importance of community. Nayamkai periodically calls him and gives him strategies to live a better life, attitude towards work, and a lot more wisdom to help him excel in life. As the days passed, Kuma grew stronger. His spirit renewed. He formed friendships with the villagers, who had welcomed and assisted him with open arms. Yet, he wondered what lay ahead, and how his wish of riches and prosperity would be granted. Kuma's thoughts were filled with nostalgia as he walked on the farm, his mind wandering to his family and village. Though his people despised him, he longed to see his loved ones again. He had come to realize that the true wish he had sought was not wealth, but the transformation he had undergone. He has truly become a man of value, hard work, and wisdom. Kuma concluded that the wish was the knowledge he has gotten from the village folks and tendering skills on the farm. One day, as he walked the farm, his hoe struck something hard. Curious, Kuma dug further and uncovered a small pot. He lifted it out of the ground, and to his astonishment, a gold coin gleamed in the sunlight. Kuma's heart raced as he stared at the coin in disbelief. Could this be the wish he had been waiting for? He felt a mix of emotions: excitement, gratitude, and a sense of wonder. Just then, Nyamkai appeared beside him, with a smile on his face. "Well done, Kuma. Your patience and hard work have led you to this moment. The gold coin is just the beginning of your wish being granted." Nyamkai's words filled Kuma with both joy and sadness. He was grateful for the pot's magic, but he would miss the village and its people. He bid farewell to the friends he had made, and Nyamkai escorted him to the village border. "Remember, Kuma, the pot's secret is yours alone to keep. The moment you tell anyone about it, you break the wish," Nyamkai reminded him. "And know that Nsute village only reveals itself to those who are invited. Your invitation has ended, so do not try to find your way back." Kuma nodded in understanding. He watched as the village disappeared from view, leaving him with a sense of wonder and awe. As he approached his own village, Kuma waited until nightfall before returning home. His family still in a bad state. His wife, Afua, couldn't stop tears of happiness. Although she was heartbroken that Kuma returned from his search of greener pastures with nothing. But she noticed something different in his eyes, a hint of boldness and admiration. Over the days, she realized that his journey had changed him, and he now carried himself with a quiet confidence. As he settled back into his life, Kuma kept the pot's secret safe. He built a small house and made a room for himself that he goes to relax and think. He has kept the pot hidden in a secret corner of the room. He also came to realize that, anytime he picks a gold coin from the pot, another new gold coin appears in it the next day. There can only be one coin in the pot at a time, so if he wants more, he has to empty the pot each day. Wow! This is unbelievable. And this gold coin will keep appearing in the pot each day for the rest of his life. He gradually improved his family's life and helped those in need. And though he never spoke of his time in Suta, the lessons he learned there stayed with him and made him a better person at managing his financial explosion. Kuma's wisdom in handling his newfound wealth was very impressive. Although he didn't have to ever work again in his life, he sought not to bring much attention to himself. He lived a modest life and invested in lands, businesses, and employments. He also helped people whenever he had the opportunity. Kuma earned respect and gratitude from the community. However, as his influence grew, so did the curiosity about the source of his wealth. He showered his wife and kids with gifts every time. In his mind, at least they deserve it for not leaving him when he was a complete failure. Although they despised him at the time, he deserved to receive such treatment as a man because he was supposed to be the breadwinner. His wife, Afua, began to wonder when her husband's fortunes had changed so drastically. She started to snoop around, trying to uncover the secret. She was happy their situation has changed to good. But sudden riches is usually associated to blood rituals and other illegal activities. What has his husband gotten himself into? This kind of riches in the shortest of times is not making any sense. One day, while Kuma was away on business, Afua decided to investigate his personal room. Upon searching the room for some time, she discovered the pot hidden under the disguise of a pile of bags. She was shocked to see a golden coin in it. "My husband has gone for juju," she said to herself. "What has he gotten himself into?" Afua shook her head in disbelief. She took the golden coin from the pot and left the room. When Kuma came home that evening, he noticed the placement of the bags in his personal rooms are a bit off. He had no plans to pick up the day's golden coin because he truly had no need for money at this point in his life. But Kuma couldn't help but investigate the disruption. His eyes widened as he approached the pot, his heart racing, thinking that someone has discovered his secret. He saw the pot and his heart rejoiced. He breathed a sigh of relief. But instead of the familiar glint of gold, he found nothing. The pot was empty, and his mind raced with worry. Had the magic ended? Has he lost the wish? He tried to calm himself, thinking maybe he had simply the coin earlier that morning. But deep down, he knew he hasn't taken any coin that day. As he left the room, his wife Afua noticed his unease. "What's wrong, Kuma?" she asked, concern imprinted on her face. But Kuma just shook his head, trying to brush it off. "Nothing, nothing. Just a long day." Afua's eyes lingered on him, but she didn't press the issue. Instead, she busied herself with preparing dinner, her movements graceful and efficient. Kuma couldn't sleep the whole night. The next day, he woke up early from his matrimonial bed and went into his personal room. He approached the pot with great hope that the wish still works. And yes, there lies a new golden coin. His relief was deep, and he couldn't help but smile. But his joy was short-lived, as Afua appeared in the room, holding the previous day's coin. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, and her voice was laced with a hint of accusation. "Where did this come from?" she asked, her gaze fixed on the coin. "I found it in your room, hidden away." "What's going on, Kuma? You've been acting strange for weeks now." Kuma's mind raced as he tried to maintain his secret. He knew that the magic of the wish relied on his silence, and as long as he didn't verbally reveal the truth to anyone, the wish magic would remain intact. And so, even though Afua had discovered the pot, the magic wasn't broken because Kuma hadn't explicitly told her about the wish or its origin. The magic was tied to his words, not his actions or circumstances. So, Kuma begged her to keep quiet, his eyes pleading for her silence. "Please, Afua, let's just keep this between us. I promise I'll explain everything soon. Just trust me, my love." Afua's eyes narrowed. "What ritual contract has my husband gone to sign?" She was furious and wanted an explanation, but she decided not to press the issue. She just said to him, "You need to explain to me soon what ritual you have gotten yourself involved in, before things get out of hand." For now, the secret was still safe, and the magic of the wish remained intact. But Kuma knew that he couldn't keep the truth from his wife for much longer. The tension was profound, and he wondered how long her wife could keep her mouth shut about this. It was not only his wife Afua who was curious about her husband's riches. Although Kuma has tried hard to live a low-key life, unknown to him, even his smallest spending is actually a fortune. Even the rich people in society began to notice. Kuma has been trying hard to hide under the disguises of his businesses, but sometimes his constant generosity gives him away, leaving people with questions about the young man who was once a complete failure. His old friend Kwame is one of the people who couldn't understand what was going on. He remembers vividly how Kuma always came to his house to beg for food and coins. Kwame's curiosity had been simmering for weeks. He couldn't understand how Kuma is now living a life of luxury. The more he thought about it, the more he became convinced that there was something fishy going on. One day, as he was walking through the village, he spotted Oma chatting with some friends. He remembered that she was close to Afua, Kuma's wife, and a plan began to form in his mind. The next day, Kwame kept monitoring her and saw his chance. He spotted Oma under a tree, sipping fresh palm wine and gazing at her phone. Oma is a woman who loved the finer things in life, and it showed in her designer clothes and immaculate makeup. But despite her polished exterior, Oma was struggling. She was deeply in debt, and her luxurious lifestyle crumbling on her. But she keeps the fake smiles up and keeps showing off borrowed luxury. As Kwame approached her, Oma looked up, her eyes flashing with a hint of desperation. Kwame smiled sympathetically, taking a seat beside her. Oma was confused as to why a strange man suddenly comes to sit close to her. But she kept calm and looked at him. "Oma, I know you. Kwame said. Omar looked on in confusion. He went straight to the point. I know you're struggling. I can see it in your eyes. But I have a proposal that could change everything. Omar's gaze narrowed, her interest vexed. Who are you, and what proposal are you talking about? Kwame leaned towards her, his voice low and solid. I think we can help each other out. Meet me here tomorrow and I can assure you all your debt will go away. Omar is still confused at this strange man, but anything that will make her huge debt go away is good news to her. Still confused, she managed to nod her head in response and Kwame walks away. The next day, they meet under the tree again. Kwame shared his concerns about Kuma's wealth, and his suspicion that there was more to it than people thought. Omar listened intently, her eyes widening as Kwame spoke. I know Afua is your friend and she confides in you, Kwame said. I need you to find out what's going on. What's the source of Kuma's wealth? Omar hesitated, weighing her options. She had always been fascinated by luxury and wealth, and the prospect of getting close to it was tempting. But she also valued her friendship with Afua, and didn't want to betray her trust. She was one of the few friends who always tried to give Afua and her kids food whenever she came begging. And although Afua has immensely helped her since they became rich, it wasn't enough to clear all her debts. Kwame sensed her hesitation and leaned in, his face serious and his eyes locked on hers. Omar, I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. I just need information. And in return, I'll make sure you're rewarded beyond your wildest dreams. Omar's face thought about it for a moment. She saw this as her way out, a chance to escape the financial hole she dug herself into. Okay, Kwame. What do you need me to do? Nice. Kwame gave her a master plan. The plan is to invite Afua over and try to intoxicate her into revealing personal secrets. And so, the plan was set in motion. Omar invited Afua over for a friendly visit, making sure to stock up on her favorite food and drinks. As they spent the evening together, Omar skillfully steered the conversation towards Kuma's success, asking innocent-sounding questions that Afua answered freely, unaware of the ulterior motive. Meanwhile, Kwame waited patiently in the wings, his ears glued to the conversation as it unfolded. He listened intently as Afua shared details about Kuma's business dealings, his eyes lighting up with excitement as he pieced together the puzzle. As the evening grew older, Afua became more and more relaxed, laughing and joking with Omar as they sipped their drinks. And Kwame, sensing the moment was ripe, made his move, joining the conversation with a disarming smile. Afua is now completely drunk and they begin to playfully tell her about how successful and helpful his husband had been. In a friendly manner they asked for the source of his wealth, and intoxicated Afua loosely reveals her discovery of the pot and the golden coin. The next day, Kwame and Omar met to plan out how they will extract the pot from the Kumas. Kwame came up with a plan and shared with her. Afua, you will host a party at your place, and invite Kuma and his wife, and while the party is ongoing here, I will sneak into their house and pick the pot. Do you get it? Omar nodded. Yes, I'll make sure to invite them over for a night of music, food, and drinks. And while they are distracted, you'll slip into their house and retrieve the pot. Kwame smirked, his confidence growing. Piece of cake. I'll be in and out before anyone notices. Omar goes to Afua's house. She is overwhelmed with how well her friend's family is suddenly doing. Admiring and same time jealous of her, she says to herself, this is the kind of life I should be living. Not these poor people who are suddenly rich. She meets and informs the Kuma family of her house party. She wants them to grace her party and is specially inviting them. As an old friend who has severally helped them when they had nothing, they agreed. Kuma even offered to sponsor for the cost of the whole party. He was glad to make it a memorable house party for her. But as the night of the party approached, Omar's nerves began to crack. What if something went wrong? What if Kuma suspected something? But she pushed her doubts aside and focused on the task at hand. The night of the party arrived, and Omar's house was buzzing with music and laughter. Kuma and his wife, Afua, arrived fashionably late, and Oma greeted them with a warm smile. "So glad you could make it," she exclaimed, ushering them into the crowd of guests. Meanwhile, Kwame had slipped out the back door, his heart pounding in his chest. He made his way to Kuma's house, his eyes scanning the dark streets for any signs of danger. Reaching the house, he crept around to the back door, his lock-picking skills coming in handy as he slipped inside. But as he made his way deeper into the house, he realized that things weren't going to be as easy as he thought. The house was larger than he had anticipated, and the pot could be anywhere. He cursed himself for not getting more information from Afua before putting his plan into action. Just as he was starting to lose hope, he heard a faint noise coming from the floor above. It sounded like Kuma and Afua were arguing about something. Kwame's heart skipped a beat as he realized that they must have left the party early. He froze, holding his breath as the footsteps creaked overhead. Apparently, Kuma was having an uneasy feeling while at the part. He felt as if something bad was about to happen to him. Maybe the magic of the pot was reaching out and warning him. He tells Afua he is leaving the party premises. Afua is displeased with his decision and argues with him all the way to the house, not understanding what his husband was feeling or saying. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the house into darkness. Power outage is a usual occurrence in the village, but comes back on in a few minutes or hours. Kwame's heart raced as he realized the darkness has trapped his sight. The sound of their argument is all he hears. He knew he had to act fast, before Kuma and Afua came downstairs to investigate. With a surge of adrenaline, Kwame felt his way through the darkness, his hands outstretched in front of him. He stumbled upon a door, and his heart leapt as he realized it must be the room where the pot was kept. He flung open the door, his eyes adjusting to the dim light of the moon entering through the window. The door unfortunately bangs behind him. This scared him. But, wow! There, in the corner of the room, sat the pot. Kwame's heart soared as he reached out to grab it, his fingers closing around its smooth surface. He had done it. But as he turned to make his way back downstairs, he heard the sound of footsteps coming from the hallway. Kuma and Afua had heard the door bang and realized that something was amiss. And they were coming to investigate. Kwame's heart raced as he realized he had to get out, fast. He rushed out of the room, the pot gripped tightly in his hand, and made a mad run for the back door. He flung it open, and sprinted out into the night, the pot grabbed tightly in his hand. He didn't stop running until he was far into the bush. The pot safely in hand. Yes, there was a golden coin in the pot. The Kuma family have just noticed their loss. Kuma is completely heartbroken. His thoughts running wild. How did anyone else know about this? He looks at Afua in disbelief. His eyes clearly filled with accusation. Afua bows her head and cries. After the party, Oma's eyes widened as Kwame burst into the room, the pot held high up like a trophy. "We did it," he exclaimed, his chest heaving with excitement. Oma's face broke into a wide smile, her eyes shining with triumph. "We sure did," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Afua's eyes welled up with tears, her mind racing with fragmented memories of her visit to Oma's. She couldn't shake off the feeling that Oma had tricked her, but she couldn't quite recall the details. Kuma, however, remained calm, his expression tolerant. He put a gentle arm around Afua, his eyes filled with a deep understanding. "My dear, we'll get through this," he whispered. "I've been in tougher spots before. I am in a good place now. And I possess the wisdom to make money." Afua looked up at him, her eyes brimming with tears. "But Kuma, that pot was a mystery to me. I do not know of what ritual you did, but I know you will not hurt anyone. And I'm sorry it happened this way. Please tell me you did not hurt anyone to get all these riches." Kuma responded, but making sure not to reveal anything about his riches. "I assure you I did not hurt anyone for these riches." Kuma's gaze was steady. "Our future is not in a pot, Afua. It's in our minds, our skills, and our resilience. I've learned that the hard way. We'll start again, or let me say continue from where we are together." we have more than enough." As they held each other, the weight of their loss slowly lifted. Kuma's words were a balm to Afwa's soul, reminding her of his unwavering optimism and resourcefulness. Together, they vowed to move forward, their bond stronger than any material possession. Meanwhile, Oma and Kwame were rejoicing over their steal. Little did they know, their victory would be short-lived. The initial agreement was that Kwame would pay off Oma's debt. It was indeed a small price to pay for all the riches he would accumulate later. But Oma had plans of her own. She had also thought to herself, why should she only settle for a debt payment when she could become richer than any person in the village? She loves a luxury lifestyle, and this is her chance to grab it. She won't settle for less anymore. Kwame tells Ame he will fulfill his side of the deal the next morning by trading the golden coin and settling all of her debts. Oma agrees with a fake smile, and they both go to bed. Unbeknownst to Kwame, Oma had arranged for some macho men to beat up Kwame and grab the pot from him in the prime hours of the night. In the middle of the night, Kwame hears a door creak in the room where he slept in Oma's house. He quickly arose and realized that some macho men were about to pounce on his. He swiftly grabbed the pot and managed to dash through the window, severely hurting himself in the process. He fled through the bush and was lost in the shrubs. Oma couldn't believe the news when the hired macho men said they missed him. She cried profusely. Oma, realizing her mistake, knew that the chronology of events would be obvious to Afwa and Kuma that she was the one behind the steal. She sought redemption by confessing to Afwa and Kuma. They listened, their anger simmering, but ultimately forgave her, their hearts heavy with the experience. Meanwhile, Kwame arrived in a distant village, pot in hand, only to discover its secret. It would only produce a coin when near Kuma the wish-bearer. He was stunned. He had to be close to Kuma for the coin to appear in the pot. He really did enjoy life. Making purchases, eating exotic dishes and living a luxurious lifestyle. As the money finished, he crept back to the village, pot in hand, seeking another coin. He approached Kuma's house, his heart racing with excitement. The pot glowed, and a golden coin appeared. Overjoyed, Kwame vanished into the night, leaving behind no trail. With his newfound wealth, Kwame lived a lavish life in a distant village. He indulged in luxuries, accumulating debts with reckless abandon. But he wasn't worried, the pot's magic was his safety net. Or so he thought. Kuma and his family continued to prosper. They had no need to rely on the pot because Kuma had learnt a lot about life and money and knew how to put in work and make money for himself and cater for his family. Months passed, and Kwame's debts mounted. One day, desperate to pay his creditors, he returned to the village, pot in hand. As he approached Kuma's house, his heart skipped a beat. As he dashed from the corner of a wall, Kuma was already standing there, his eyes fixed on Kwame with a piercing gaze. Kwame's eyes widened in shock, and his grip on the pot weakened. It slipped from his hands, shattering into pieces on the ground. The pot's magic died, leaving Kwame with nothing but debts and regret. Kuma approached him, a mix of pity and disgust on his face. "Your greed consumed you, Kwame. You forgot that true wealth lies in the mind, not in a pot." Kwame's eyes dropped, shame and despair washing over him. He realized too late that his obsession with the pot had destroyed him. Kuma understands that true prosperity came from within, and that the pot's magic was merely a reminder of the power of the human mind. With a gentle smile, he turned back to his life, his heart filled with gratitude for the lessons learned. Thank you for watching. Moral lesson: this story teaches us that the pursuit of wealth and material possessions can lead us down a dangerous path of greed and destruction. True prosperity and happiness come from within. Rooted in the strength of our relationships, the wisdom of our minds, and the kindness of our hearts. Let us learn from Kwame's mistakes and strive to cultivate inner wealth, forgiveness, and love, just as Kuma and Afwa did. For in the end, it is not what we possess that truly matters, but how we live, love, and learn from our experiences. Please consider subscribing to our channel. It means a lot to us. It helps the channel to grow and motivates us to keep creating amazing stories for the world to enjoy. Thanks for watching.